All right, everyone, it's Friday and the final morning briefing of the week. I hope you can hear me all right and I'm not talking incredibly loud into the mic like yesterday's video was. I rewatched yesterday's and I don't know how more folk weren't moaning, Tony. I mean, there was plenty of people after it moaning in the comments. Not moaning, sorry, that's the wrong word. Give me some feedback on the mic being too loud, but people during the live stream were very understanding and didn't even comment on it, so apologies for yesterday. I think we're good now. Tony, how are you?
I'm very well. That's the community we've got here, Hamish, and the position that your club's manoeuvred itself into. I think most people are in a happy place. Aren't they? They've found a happy place. So if Celtic weren't the top of the league, you'd get absolute pelters. You know that. So, but they're in a good position heading into the Scottish Cup semi-finals. Lots of shiny, happy people amongst the Celtic supporters, so here's hoping that can continue.
Yes, indeed. Let's hope it continues this weekend. Right, a couple of bits of the usual stuff to get through, and then we'll get into the chat. We're thrilled to have Weissman, who are a global leader in the boiler industry, sponsor this podcast. As you can see at the top, they're also alongside MPH Boilers, Scotland's very own award-winning installation team. Now, when you choose a Weissman boiler installed by MPH, you'll also get a free internet controller, and you'll get the first year's service for nothing. So this is your big chance to get involved. You're talking local expert service with MPH and you're talking world-class engineering with Weissman. So check those two out. Links in the description. No Ryan today, Tony, so you're on this.
Yeah, just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's taken up their best ever offer, 6 months of access for £1, as you can see, and you will get that a print from renowned football artist made by Frankie, that Kyogo print, if you're a new subscriber. And as I say, amazing uptake on that. The first batch has been sent out, or they're getting sent out this week, I am led to believe. So yeah, if you've signed up, thank you. And if you haven't signed up, hit that button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. We hope you enjoy the content that's on the website.
We also crossed the 10,000 subscriber barrier on YouTube yesterday. So that's obviously a big milestone for us. So thanks everyone for subscribing. If you've not yet subscribed, then maybe you can help us along the way to the next 10,000 by doing so now. So, yep, big thanks everyone. Right, before we get started, I got a tweet in earlier. I think you were actually tagged in this as well, Tony, from Michael Agnew mentioning that the Celtic FC women are also top of the league, looking down on Rangers. They've got a big game this weekend as well at Celtic Park. So just wanted to mention that they're also on for a trophy.
Yeah, I think it makes good reading for both the men and the women's team at this moment in time, isn't it? But I guess everybody says it's not where your position is now, it's where you finish come May. But it's certainly looking good on both fronts, and Celtic women's team have done excellently well to get themselves to the top of the table. Here's hoping that they can stay there as well.
Yeah, hopefully get a good crowd at Celtic Park. The first team, men's team, are at Hampden tomorrow, lunchtime kickoff against Aberdeen. I think there's going to be a few interesting things to be found out from Brendan Rodgers' press conference today. Team stuff, we can maybe have a wee chat about that. Do you think Callum McGregor is going to start?
$64,000 question, isn't it? Do Celtic go into a major semi-final with their captain not playing? I'm not so sure, But again, Hamish, you can't risk him if he's not 100% fit. You have to, and you run the risk of doing damage. And Celtic have got huge games coming up in terms of the title running. So I will be guided by Rodgers' comments today on that. I'm still kind of 50-50 on whether to put him into the side or not, because I think the midfield's functioning at the minute. It's not dysfunctional, is it? And it's not causing you major grief. So I'm inclined to sort of let it slide unless McGregor, I know he's had another week's training, and if he's proven himself to be completely and utterly 100% fit, then so be it. I just think the optics of not going in with your captain if he's 100% fit don't look great, but it ain't broke at the minute. It don't need fixed, but I would ease him back, give him some game time, another half an hour, something like that, or even a half if that's what you wanted to do. But I don't know. I'm still not convinced about Callum McGregor's fitness. Let's put it that way. But again,
Okay.
the manager will give you some kind of indication today, won't he? I would have thought 'cause he will be asked.
I think that's the thing we found out with Rio Hatate recently, that in the nicest possible way, we as supporters don't really know. We're not privy to the condition of Callum McGregor, so it's almost, a futile debate to be having. But, we can have it anyway. James saying, I wouldn't risk him. Hazel reckons, Iwata will start. James wants to see Cal Mac get game time later on. Brian saying 30 minutes. I think, based on nothing at all, I just have a feeling McGregor might start this game. I just have a feeling. I just think, it's a couple of weeks down the road from Ibrox. Yeah. Even last week he got game time against St Mirren, didn't he? 20 minutes or so, and I just have a feeling back at Hampden. Yeah, the midfield's not an issue at the moment. Equally, I thought first half, we did struggle in that area against St Mirren. I know the wind was a big issue, and I get all that, but I just think going to Hampden, if he's ready, and that's the big thing that we don't know, but if he is, you get him back in there.
He's also somebody who can produce goals at Hampden. He's scored a couple of beauties in recent years, one against Rangers in particular, when in the highlights he had the ball actually hit the net and he scored a cracker. I think you alluded to it the other day, didn't you? The Motherwell final, which was a tremendous strike, so he's capable of that. So that we know what he brings to the team. I'm just more concerned. I'm kind of looking ahead, and I know you shouldn't look ahead, but I'm just thinking of the whole picture now with regards to Celtic and the games that they've got left. But I think if he has proven his fitness beyond any reasonable doubt, then he starts.
Are you thinking like Derby, when we want him back by then?
Oh, without a doubt. He's a pivotal player, and he just knew at Ibrox he cost that equaliser, didn't he? And it's just not Callum McGregor, is it? You just knew then that he was sluggish and he was off it. As I said, I think that was more of a sentimental substitution than anything else. And the manager sort of saying, right, you're the captain, go on there and shore it up. And he didn't do it. I'm not blaming him in any shape or form. This is not me scapegoating him. It's just, you knew he wasn't fit. Because a fit Callum McGregor doesn't do that, does he?
Talk about not scapegoating him. Tom Dow, and I'm joking here, Tom Dow, saying the league would probably be over if he didn't get thrown in at Ibrox, blaming Callum McGregor for us not having the league wrapped up. I'm joking. I mean, it's. I said this to Ryan yesterday. Imagine we'd won at Ibrox. It would be 6 points clear. The league would be pretty much won.
I don't know if you spoke about this yesterday. I was out and about, but I think the mentality over the other side of the city would have changed had they lost against Celtic. And I don't know.
Ryan said that.
And I don't know if they'd have lost and they would have drawn their next two games. So lots of ifs and buts there, but I guess. But when you break it all down, the draw at Ibrox wasn't the worst result. I think the fact of the matter is the way it came around. People were a bit miffed because you were 2 up, 3-2 up with minutes to go. But in hindsight, you look at it and you think it was still a very good point. And then you look at what's happened since. So you're now in a great position. As I say, I think it was. Remember, if Sir Alf Ramsey said to the England team in '66 World Cup that they'd won it in normal time, and then Germany equalised the last kick of the ball. And he said to them, "Go and win it again." I think it's very much the same with Celtic. Celtic had this title won when they were 8 points ahead, or they should have. They now need to go and win it again, and I think the manager will be stressing that as well. You let it slip once, it can't happen again. So that would be my thoughts. And I don't particularly like using the Sir Alf Ramsey reference, but you know where I'm coming from in that sense. You had something in your grasp, you let it slip. Don't let it happen again. And I think that's very much the scenario for Celtic now in the situation.
I mean, nobody wanted us to kind of, chuck that 7 or whatever point lead we had early on in the season. But let's be honest, if we do win the league from this position, it will be more satisfying than it would have been if we'd have just, ran away with it.
Of course, I totally understand that, but lots of people say, "Oh, it's exciting and all that." Give me a landslide title win any day of the week, because nerve shredders are great when you win them. They're torture when you lose. So, but I just they've won it once. Go and do it again. That's the bottom line. But I think the manager's too professional for that, to let it slide now. And the players as well.
Yeah, Jeff saying Callum Mac needs to have game time to get back to full fitness. So, McGregor, what do you reckon? Yes or no he'll start? Are you not really sure? Waiting Rodgers?
I probably base it on Rodgers' comments today, yeah. I mean, it's a big question mark for me. If he's not 100% no, I would say no. But I'm waiting to get the nods from the manager to kind of give me some steer on that. But yeah, listen, he's a vital player, isn't he? When he's fit, bottom line.
Yeah,
and he likes Hampden.
Yeah, we'll find out about Liam Scales. That's another one he missed last week. I said this the other day. I'm kind of relaxed about that. I think if Scales is fit and Rodgers wants to put him straight back in, fine with that. Equally, if Scales isn't fit, or even if Rodgers just wants to continue with Nawrocki, happy with that as well. So I'm not massively worried about that. If anything, I'd maybe like to see Nawrocki just kind of playing a big game. He's not, I suppose he played in the derby at New Year, but he's not had many big games at Celtic, has he? And playing at Hampden in a semi-final, I want to see him next to Carter Vickers. Yeah. And remember he struggled against what's his name? Miovski.
Yeah, Miovski.
Doubting myself there. He struggled against him in February, so it's a big... it's kind of interesting to see how he copes if he plays tomorrow.
It's a redemption shot for Nawrocki, isn't it? Against Miovski tomorrow. And if the manager turns around and says to him, look, this guy gave you bother the last time you played him. Go and show him what you're about today. Give him nothing. Play alongside him. Listen to him. He'll guide you through it. Just do your thing. You're a good big player. Just tell him, big him up, tell him he deserves to be out there. You're now in the team, yellow jersey stuff, as I always call it. Go and show what you've got here. And it is a big opportunity in a big game, and you want someone like me, Nawrocki, to prove that he can do it on that stage. Hamish, I've no qualms about playing him whatsoever. None whatsoever. And I think he can cope. But we know what Miovski brings to the table as well. He's one that needs to be watched.
Yeah, 1 goal in his last 10, but you get the impression that he saves his best football for the big games. Scored a lot of goals in big games. Hampden goal, already this season in the semi against Hibs. So yeah, happy with that. Left wing, what are we thinking? And you wrote something about James Forrest earlier in the week, so is that where you're going?
I've got to follow that through, haven't I, that James Forrest plays, because I say he's a Hampden specialist and he starts for me. So I'm putting Forrest on the right and I'm going to put Kuhn on the left. For a bit of a plot spoiler in terms of my starting 11. But I have to see it through. I can't very well write about James Forrest and then relegate him to the bench. It wouldn't make any sense, would it? So, because I still think Palmer needs to win back some of the Celtic supporters and prove, that he's, that he's got what it takes to be a certain starter moving forward. But I just think Forrest experience, and again, I made the point, he's got 5 goals at Hampden, big important goals. Just knows the drill.
Two against Aberdeen.
Yeah, and the manager labels him the best winger at the club. So if he's the best winger at the club, and we're going through there's a dip in form or Malays is too strong, but none of the wingers are convincing at the minute, are they? You don't look at them and say, right, you're a certain starter. So I would say to James, put him in. Say, on you go, James, go and do your thing. And either the right or the left, it doesn't really bother me, but I think he prefers the right, doesn't he? So I would just say and I think Kuhn can play on the left. So I would give Kuhn the nod narrowly. I think Yang's just upset too many people the last couple of performances, hasn't he? Despite the fact he was having a purple patch like Kuhn prior to that, you know. So, but that'd be my two. I know people are making the case for Palm as well, and that I don't have a downer on Palm. People sort of saying you've got a downer on Palm. I just think he's capable of so much more, and he's hit some kind of comfort zone after contributing some goals and assists and thinking, yep, this is great, love it here. The penalties, I've had my say on that, but also there's times when I think he's not a team player and he's in it for himself. And by being a team player, that's how you get noticed more. Personally, just watching him and stuff. So I need him to be a team player, And if he comes on or he plays a part tomorrow, then if someone's in a better position to score, then you service them, and not play for yourself. You're playing for a collective here, and if you've not grasped that by now, then you need to grasp it very, very quickly.
Yeah, I've been kind of torn all week on the left wing issue, and I said to Ryan yesterday I wouldn't actually be surprised if any of the three play. If Forrest plays, if Yang plays, or Palmer plays, and that when that team comes out, I could see a scenario where any of those play. I think Kuhn will certainly be one of the wingers, and then it's kind of open to those three for the other position. I know there's been shouts of Kyogo, and even we got one in about Idah there. Not for me personally, but people obviously think that could work. In terms of if we call it the left wing, I don't think Yang should play. I don't think Yang's deserving to play tomorrow based off last week. I don't think you can reward that kind of performance. I'm not singling him out, but he was poor last week. So I think him maybe coming off the bench at some stage. James Forrest, I love James Forrest. I've been a big James Forrest fan his full Celtic career. Again, we as fans don't know the true state of James Forrest's fitness, condition. Have his legs gone? The only thing we can do is read into things Brendan Rodgers has said, and see if you go back to Brendan Rodgers' first ever interview. When he came back to Celtic, he mentioned something about Forrest being in a different part of his career, and that is true. I guess he's a good few years older than he was during Rodgers' first spell, but I just wonder if Forrest is capable of starting games anymore. I'd love to think he is, and I'd love to find out, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. He also said recently he was a top professional, and he's kept his body in great shape. And he's
so I'd love to find out.
The club. Yeah. So that's what I'm basing it on. If he's the best winger at the club, then we're having a wee kind of, I don't want to say problem, but and we're talking about Yang and Palmer here and Kuhn. These are not criticisms per se of the players. They are observations. I want to stress that we're not having digs at players or criticisms per se. It's observations based on what you're watching, based on what you think that the manager might be thinking about said players. So, because nobody wants them to succeed more than you and I, Hamish, and the Celtic supporters. Mm-hmm. And we know that it's in them to succeed and be better than they have been in recent performances. I totally agree about Yang. Yang just doesn't deserve to start for me because he's not done enough to justify starting in a game of that magnitude. So I'm looking around. I think, and I would give Forrest at least an hour because I just think he's got the big game experience, got the old head, and he's also got that calming influence as well for others who, you can talk to them and tell them what to expect at Hampden. You just don't want this match to pass anybody by. So, in that sense, I just think if you've got experienced players there, then you have to utilise them. So,
yeah. As I say, for me, it's between, in terms of who I would want to start, it's between Palmer and Forrest on the left, and I think it's pretty even. I can barely separate them. I just have a feeling Rodgers will go with Palmer. I could be wrong. I think Palmer's had, injury stuff recently. I'm not totally convinced by him, to be honest. I think he started really well. I mean, he had it pointed out to me earlier in the week that he'd been one of our top players in the Champions League. And I think that's a fair point that maybe we've forgotten about a little bit. But I think recently he has struggled. But I would like to see him, and just in a better team. Because I think he was struggling when the team were struggling. And as I say, he had injury stuff. I'd like to see him start tomorrow. But also, if it's James Forrest, I'd be pretty happy with that. But I'm going with Palmer. I think a front three of Kuhn on the right, Palmer on the left, and Kyogo through the middle. Wee bit of I'll just read these quickly. Charlie saying Palmer's actually quite good, running a goal every 85 minutes this season. Yang is absolute toilet. God, you're a hard man to please, Charlie. And 420, Jamesy's getting older, but I'd hardly say his legs will be away. I wasn't actually saying that. I'm just saying that I wonder if, Brendan Rodgers has been hinting at that. He's certainly not as fast as he was, James Forrest, but, that happens to everyone. What about the forward stuff, Tony? A growing movement saying that maybe Adam Idah could start, but I think we both feel that Kyogo's record at Hampden suggests that he should start.
Kyogo's the man, isn't he? you're not dropping Kyogo for a game like this. And I love what Idah brings to the table, but he's proven himself to be a brilliant impact player, and that's all you can do. But I'm not, excuse me, I'm not having Idah to start this one. Not when Hatate's back in the team and he can service the likes of Kyogo, and there's plenty of room at Hampden for Kyogo to run into, isn't there? Mm-hmm. He has a track record, as you say, of running into space at Hampden and scoring goals, wonder goals, tap-in goals, you name it. I think, and for me, I think Kyogo worries defenders. And then you have Idah to come on and worry them even more at some point. So with a different type of centre forward play. So it's Kyogo all day for me, if you're asking the question.
But he makes a change of the striker about the 60-minute mark anyway. So it's not as if Idah's going to get 5 minutes. Idah will get half an hour even if he doesn't start. If it goes to extra time, Idah could end up playing longer than Kyogo.
Yeah, and I think Adam Idah's quite happy with his lot of the minute as well. He knows that you see he's playing minutes, and he knows that the manager trusts him. But at least he's coming on. He's determined to make an impact. Come on at Ibrox, had a great cameo at Ibrox. I thought he was excellent at Ibrox. Come on last week and he scored a goal as well. So he can't do any more. It just so happens the guy that he's trying to displace or dislodge is the man, and has a brilliant scoring record. So I just don't see Idah starting, and I think you have to start with Kyogo up front because, as I say, he likes Hampden and he's good for a goal, isn't he, at Hampden? So Kyogo man all day long.
I've just been really impressed with Idah since he's come to the club. He's really surprised me. I think his attitude's been brilliant. He can handle playing for Celtic, and I just really want us to sign him in the summer.
Well, I mentioned that goal that he scored at Ibrox, the kind of build up and the way he took it as well. And I think it was you that said that, and I said, is that a glimpse of the future? Because I wrote an article saying sign them both at the right price, And I think it was you that said that you could see Adam Idah as a future Celtic player in a Rodgers team. And that's exactly my thoughts as well. It mirrored what I was thinking. You can just see him up front leading the line, can't you? Some time down the line in Rodgers teams. So I love what he's got. You have to ask the question. People were saying he didn't score at Norwich and all that. He scored up here. Happy footballer is worth its weight in gold, and he seems happy and content and enjoying the fact that he is contributing, even if it is from the bench. But he's got so much to offer. He's great in the air. He's wonderful on the deck as well. And lots of people were blaming Jack Butland for the goal he scored at Ibrox, the quickness and the shuffle to get it out of his feet, and he hits it straight at Butland, who's got no time to anticipate it because he doesn't think he's going to shoot. Butland is still trying to position himself, and before he knows it, it's flashed by him at speed. And there was not much of a backlift on it. He just had to get it quickly shifted and a strike at goal. So that for me tells you what's in his locker. That was a great striker's goal, I thought, to be honest. And I liked the pass and the movement and just his thought that it could be the last kind of chance Celtic making the game, and also the time that he scored because Rangers had just scored an equaliser. So very cognisant of everything around him, his surroundings. And so, as I say, I'm like you. I just like what he brings to the table, and I think I can see him being a future Celtic centre forward, playing in some shape or system,
Yeah, Charlie bringing up Miovski and saying, Miovski over Idah all day. Have we forgotten about trying to compete in Europe? We don't know yet whether Adam Idah could be a big player for Celtic in Europe. We might never find out if we don't sign him in the summer. The point I would make is that Idah's risen to every challenge he's had so far at the club. I think when he was signed, people weren't expecting him to be the match winner with 2 goals at Easter Road, albeit penalties, be the match winner at Fir Park when the team were down and out, keeping us in the title race, to be the guy who effectively got us a point at Ibrox, because I don't know if if he hadn't have scored that, I have a feeling Rangers might have got a winner in that game. So I think that was a major goal at that stage. And I just think that the guy, I think he's 23. I think there's improvement in his game. And I think, maybe not right now, but I think in a couple of years he could almost get to the kind of Giakoumakis level as a backup forward for us, contributing.
There was no fanfare of trumpets when he came in. But I tell you who was blowing the trumpet for him, the manager. Mm-hmm. The manager said he was very excited to work with this player because he had the raw material to be the real deal. And if you read his comments, he told you he had pace, he had speed, he had strength. You know, he could score goals, he had guile, he had craft. And you're thinking, okay, why is he not getting a game for Norwich? That kind of thing, that's what. And then the minute you saw him, you thought, all right, I don't question the manager on his judgment on these things. He's forgotten more about football than you and I know. So I was just like, wow. And I dug up those quotes recently and I read them and I thought, Brendan, you're right. You know, it's and I don't think he was bigging him up to put pressure on it. But I think at the time, Brendan also said, you need to trust me on this. I think I know what I'm doing. And I think Brendan Rodgers sees him as a future Celtic player. You know, this try before you buy. And he will, I think he will push hard to ask the question because he likes him as well. And like you, I think he's Giakoumakis-esque, isn't he? You can see that in him already. And I would just like to see him, you know, signed on a good pre-season and then take it from there the season because I think he could make a huge contribution moving forward. Again, we don't know what any of these players will be like in Europe, Majowski or Idah. Celtic aren't in Europe, so you're only basing it off the domestic performances just now. So, you can say that about any player, you know, but we'll find out, you know, in the fullness of time.
But he has, I mean, we don't know if he's at that level yet, and we'll hopefully find out, but looking at him, he has the raw attributes that would be decent for us in Europe. He's quite quick, he's got a good touch, he can head the ball and he's also strong. So I think it's going to be interesting. I really like him. I'm trying not to go overboard, but I really quite like him. I think he's been good.
He scored goals at international level as well, Hamish.
Yeah, he's got personality.
So he's got that bit about him, as people say. You know, he's got something to offer. And that's something that he has to offer looks very, very good. So I'm not... I've no qualms if Celtic ask the question. Just don't want to be held to ransom for him. But it's like everything else. He's coming up here. He's enhanced his reputation. And I guess when clubs are come calling for our players, we don't want to sell them on a cheap. So it works the other way around. So I think if you could get him... I did say initially I thought the fee was 3 million. So if you get him for between 3 and 5 million, I think you're doing a decent piece of business here. Anything above that, then you don't know if Celtic will think that's too pricey. But ideally, if you can get between 3 and 5, I think that would be a very good piece of business for Celtic if they can get it over the line. And also, the player will be willing to come, won't he? Because he's enjoying himself. And I think it's something he might fancy. Because if Celtic win the title, then he will get a chance to play in the Champions League. So name me a player that wouldn't want to do that.
But after praising him for about 10 minutes, he's not in either of our starting lineups for tomorrow, Tony. So that's the way we go in this thing.
But it's a harsh world, isn't it? We've already spoken about why. But he's playing second fiddle to a guy who just, for me, is a wonderful Celtic striker.
Yeah. Aberdeen, I'm going to describe it as a dangerous game for us tomorrow. I think Aberdeen are dangerous opponents, and I know they're really struggling. They've had a bad season. They've had about 18 managers. They've not even finished inside the top 6, but they've risen to a lot of big games this season, the big occasions. A bit like us, their issues kind of been in the games they're expected to win. They beat Rangers at Ibrox. They were 2 minutes away from beating Rangers again at Pittodrie. They beat Eintracht Frankfurt 2-0 at Pittodrie. They were very narrow losers away to Frankfurt. They've drawn with us just a few months ago. I think they're a dangerous team who will be given everything tomorrow. This is the game, this is their season. Basically, the only way they can make their season successful is by winning the Scottish Cup. Nothing else does it. I think we'll be fine. I think we'll have the right attitude and win, but I don't think it's going to be a breeze like maybe some people think.
We've already been in one cup final, Hamish, so they know what it takes to take that extra step and get into a final. And there's a common denominator there. Peter Leven, who was the assistant manager under Barry, and then he's come in again. He'll be taking charge of tomorrow, but he was the one that they turned to when Barry Robson left, and Peter Leven had Brendan Rodgers' number at Pittodrie in that 1-1 drawn game. So do not underestimate Aberdeen in any shape or form tomorrow. Like Celtic, they're coming to reach the showpiece game of the season, the Scottish Cup final. So you underestimate them at your own peril and at your own risk. And remember, these Aberdeen players are playing for their futures to convince the new man, Jimmy Thelen, or however you pronounce his name, who's coming in. So he'll be watching, and they'll be desperate to convince him that they have a future under his reign at Pittodrie. So lots of little subplots and side issues for Aberdeen. But, and Majowski, like at Olympic, they have a match winner in Majowski, which is why we need to take care of him. Dubrovsky and Carter Vickers will know straight away Majowski. He's their best chance of success. He has to be snuffed out. But he scored goals at Hampden, as you said before. And Aberdeen are well capable of winning this match. You cannot let yourself think of anything else. But conversely, if Celtic's attitude and mentality is spot on, and you trust that manager and you trust a group of players to perform, lots of things are going to have to go Aberdeen's way. You need to really turn up, bring your A game, and hope Celtic are slightly off it. But I just think Celtic are picking up a head of steam at this minute. I just don't think the manager will allow them to be off it, and they'll come out the blocks. I think. Not saying it's going to be a walkover, but I fully expect Celtic to turn on the afterburners at some point and win this game.
Yeah, Majowski's a big one. I think from what I hear, Duke's starting to look more like himself. He's a threatening player. Jamie McGrath as well has been, from what I hear from an Aberdeen fan, has been probably their player of the season. Leighton Clarkson in there as well. He struggled a bit, but they have players who can turn up in the big occasion. So as I say, I think it's a dangerous game for us tomorrow. I think the team will be preparing for the best version of Aberdeen, and I think if we turn up, few people say we'll love the pitch and the big pitch will suit us. I think we'll be fine. Just a few comments. McCookie saying, my favourite Celtic content on YouTube. Don't know if that was you that highlighted that, Tony. Thanks very much, McCookie. Good to have you.
I did on board. Thanks very much for that. Appreciate that. It's very kind.
Just really want a cookie now. Monty saying, fully fit Cal Mac is needed for our double aspirations. Cal Mac is a personification of control and composure. Chill pill with an understatement. If we don't beat Aberdeen tomorrow, I'll be very disappointed. So will I be. Get a fast start and keep going, Maestro says. Anthony's got a feeling Jamesy will play a part. Celtic always saying there's a positive feel about the team just now, and Rodgers has the experience to close the season strong and get the success we want. Read that one. Patrick saying Forrest loves a goal, loves Hampden, and he also likes a goal versus Aberdeen at Hampden. He's had two crackers, one in a Scottish Cup semi-final that isn't spoken about nearly enough, where he just kind of spun onto his left foot. Do you remember it? And then curled it in. It was an absolute belter.
Beauty. Yeah, correct. Listen, I've said before, you trust the manager and you trust the players, but they need to turn up. But you just feel that they've got the bit between the teeth at the best possible juncture of the season. This is, as to quote the manager, this is the business end of the season, and we're ready to turn up. Said that at Ibrox, and people were looking at him, and as I say, I was like, yes, great, well done, saw that. But you need them to turn up now for 90 minutes, not 45, not 50, not 60. You need to start marrying whole game performances in the run-in, including tomorrow. So, and I think that's what Celtic will certainly be working on. The fact that they've strung it together in fits and starts, but there's not been a real kind of 90-minute performance, has there? And I want that starting from tomorrow and in the games that are left I think the manager will be also wanting that too. And if they can do that, then I'm pretty confident that they can be successful tomorrow and in the games that are coming up.
We're all feeling really good. It's like since we came back for the international break, we've just gone like that, up the tiers in terms of, happiness and joy.
Yeah.
If we put in a big performance and won comfortably tomorrow, everyone's excitement and expectations would just go up.
You control what you can control, Hamish. I'm not interested in Sunday's match. Obviously, you were interested in last Sunday and Wednesday because it has a bearing on where you are in the table. But I'm more interested in what we do. The great thing about Sunday and then Wednesday, you could sit back on Wednesday and just relax and watch it all unfold. And as I said, I think this is a wonderful distraction because there would have been a kind of temptation and kind of eagerness of raring to go and, let's get more points. And just think to yourself, right, just focus on the job at hand. That's when you can lose points, when you think too far ahead. You're in the Scottish Cup semi-final, win that, you park it because you're playing in the showpiece game May the 25th. Leave it till that week. And if you win tomorrow, then you steer yourself towards the games that are coming. But you just kind of... And I'm not looking at what's happening on the other side of the city or elsewhere. It has to be... I think the previous manager talked about that laser focus, didn't he? Has to be laser focused now, and I think that's what it will be. Celtic have now manoeuvred themselves into a wonderful position again in the title race, and obviously they've got the chance to win the double. So I think go and grasp that.
Big game, Scottish Cup semi-final. Tony saying expected to be scrappy. Pete saying tomorrow's Aberdeen's only chance to get some joy out of the season. Like a wounded animal, they could be dangerous. Callum has heard that they've only sold 8,000 tickets. Certainly I don't think it'll be much more than 10. So there'll be a huge Celtic support, probably 35,000 or more. And finally, Peter saying Aberdeen will give us a game tomorrow. I expect a frustrating first half, but the winning mentality Celtic have will get us across the line. That will do us for today. Tony, thanks again. What's the plan for the weekend in terms of videos? You guys are obviously at Hampden tomorrow.
We'll be at Hampden tomorrow, so we'll be doing pre-match and post-match, and we'll have the instant analysis. We'll have the Q&As up as well. There'll be the video content too attached to those Q&As, hopefully. So, looking forward to that. Both myself and Ryan will be there. The accreditation came through. Ryan was panicking a wee bit, but I told him just to chill. Everything will be all right. So that's...
Don't worry, be happy.
Yeah, correct. Yes, that's exactly what I told him. Nice one. And, so always look forward to going to Hampden for these big matches. They're usually good occasions. As I say, it's not the best stadium for atmosphere and that kind of stuff, but listen, they're good occasions to be at, and as I say, Celtic usually turn up, don't they? So we'll see what Celtic turns up tomorrow, but I'm fairly confident that they can be successful, but as I say, you can't afford to just write Aberdeen off. They've been there this season, they've got to the League Cup final, they'll be desperately trying to get to the second cup final of the season. So we'll see what happens. But as I say, I'm fairly confident that Celtic will be winners at the end of the day.
Plenty of good memories in Brendan Rodgers' first spell at Celtic at Hampden. Let's hope we can add to them tomorrow. Final shout out for this: 6 months of access for £1 plus a free Kyogo Furuhashi print from a renowned football artist made by Frankie. Thanks everyone for watching this back over the weekend, or the guys will be, as Tony says. I will be back on Monday. Speak to you then.